morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to go and take a look at a new supporter card, which is going to be coming out in Explosive Walker over in Japan. It's been revealed on the Japanese website, translated by the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites. And as it looks at the moment, this card looks fine. But if we start digging into the context of how our format is going to look in the not too distant future, this could get much, much better. So it is Kabu, the old fire dude from Pokémon Sword and Shield, and according to the lovely Antoine Boulet, and I should mention our translations come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourite people. They're awesome. So, what does Kabu actually do? You shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. Well, that sounds kind of underwhelming. If your active Pokemon is your only Pokemon in play, draw 8 cards instead. Ho ho ho! Shuffle draw 8 is phenomenal. Bearing in mind at the moment, one of the very, very best cards we've got in the format is Cynthia. If you go back a few years, one of the very, very best cards we had in the format was Professor Oak's New Theory, both of which will shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 cards. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 8 cards, that sounds over the top. There must be a downside, yeah there is, I've already told you. It must be your only Pokemon in play. Now, in Expanded, I love this with Versus Seeker and Battle Compressor. Now, I know we don't usually talk Expanded, but I think it's important at this stage to just go over exactly the nuances of this card, and I do believe Expanded shows how great this card can be. Because you see, it's only really good. It's fine most of the time, but it's really good when it is played when you've only got one Pokemon in play. If you've got one Pokemon out, if you're down to your last Pokemon, go for it. And it doesn't even have to be your last Pokemon. It can be your only Pokemon out, and then you play this, and then you bench some more, and that's fine. And that's where Battle Compressor and Versus Seeker come in. Battle Compressor lets you search your deck for any free cards and discard them. One of them is your probably only copy of Kabu. But then, of course, you've got Versus Seeker. So, if you ever go, oh, hang on a second, I've only got one Pokemon in play, this could be fun, then you go for it. Your Versus Seeker, grab Kabu, play it, job's a good un. Very much like you would play Colress in Expanded, whereby a lot of the time Colress could be great or meh. What you really want to do is Versus Seeker it when there's a bunch of bench Pokemon out. Because you draw 1 card for each bench Pokemon. Colress for 10 is amazing, but it just doesn't always work that much. To be fair, if there's a Skyfield out, you can Colress for 16, and that's dumb. I've seen it happen. It is dumb. The problem is we don't actually have a Versus Seeker in the standard format at the moment. We've got 3 approximations of Versus Seeker. We got the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds, which puts a supporter card from your discard pile on top of your deck. We've got Eldegoss V that just grabs a supporter and puts it into your hand. And we've got Chatot, who grabs a supporter card and puts it into your hand if you can flip her heads, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Oh. The problem is, all 3 of those work when you bench a Pokemon. And do you see where we're going with this? It works when you bench a Pokemon, but then when you go and play Kabu, you've got a Pokemon out. So in Expanded, I see this as a one-of in probably every Expanded deck. I don't imagine myself playing Expanded without this as a one-of, unless I'm not playing Versus Seeker and maybe not playing Battle Compressor. It's phenomenal. Now, here's the thing. How does it work in Standard? Now, if the rule hadn't been changed to stop us playing supporters turn 1, this would be a phenomenal going first turn 1 supporter. Because when you go first, you can guarantee you've only got 1 Pokemon in play. Because you put down your basic, you're active, and then you don't bench any more Pokemon. Guaranteed. Although it would be hilarious to then not draw a basic or something like a quick ball that could draw you a basic and then lose because you had no basic Pokemon. But let's assume that's not going to happen. So it would be great, except you now can't play a supporter card turn 1 going first. So you can still play it turn 2 and maybe, but it's more awkward. But what about if you're just in a game and there's no Versus Seeker and there's no I've gone first and I've definitely only got 1 Pokemon down? What about this as just an ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill mid-game supporter? And unfortunately, you've got to imagine that most of the time you're using it to draw 4. And shuffle and drawing 4, I'm afraid, isn't good. We got Cynthia that can shuffle and draw 6. We got Tate and Liza that can shuffle and draw 5 or be a switch. We've got Judge that can shuffle and draw 4 while forcing your opponent to also shuffle and draw 4. So you've got some disruption in there. But honestly, most of the time, Judge is irrelevant now because of Marnie. Both players shuffle their hands and put them on the bottom of their deck. You draw 5 cards, your opponent draws 4. So Judge has kind of become a little bit irrelevant nowadays. Not to mention, we got Professor Magnolia, or Professor's Research Magnolia. Still weird thinking about it in those terms. Discard your hand, draw 7. And Lily, draw until you got 6 cards in your hand, unless it's turn 1, in which case you draw until you got 8. And all of a sudden, it seems underwhelming. I don't imagine there are going to be many decks at all that are going to be willing to take away one of these other supporters and substitute in Kabu. I could be wrong, but I don't see it, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't see it. We're left with a niche supporter, and let's get this straight, okay? When you can use this to draw 8, it's phenomenal. It's a Cynthia and a third. It is significantly better than Cynthia. But it's so awkward. Because it's 2/3 of a Cynthia when it's not working to capacity. It's rubbish. Oh, no, it's not rubbish. That's not fair. It is significantly underpowered. You need to try and find a way to know that it's going to be your only Pokemon remaining. And like I say, the best ways we've got at the moment are our pseudo Versus Seekers, but they're all Pokemon, which means you're not really going to use them, because then you get this back and then it's not your only Pokemon in play. We need a way to reliably get this supporter, and like we got Pokegear, but Pokegear is not always going to work. Pokegear lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a supporter card, put it in your hand, but you're not always going to have Pokegear when you need it, and even when you do, you're not always going to hit this off of Pokegear. Because, let's face it, you want to play this as a 1 or 2 of and just use it at the optimal opportunity, and that's not the way we play Pokegear. If you're playing the kind of deck that often just has 1 Pokemon left, or you're playing a tank deck, something like Copperaja V Max, where you will often just want 1 big Pokemon out there, and then you don't want any bench because you don't want your opponent trying to bring up the bench to KO them, maybe that's a roadmap to making this good. But here's the thing. We're expecting a rotation to team up on September the 1st, or at least I am. And when that happens, Cynthia's rotating. Cynthia will be gone. There will be no more Cynthia. Lily will be rotating. Lily will be gone. There will be no more Lily. Judge is rotating. There will be no Judge. And now all of a sudden our supporters are starting to look a little bit more barren. There is one more set coming out in Japan before rotation. It's going to be combined with this to make our August set. But as it stands at the moment, when rotation hits, we're still going to have Magnolia, we're still going to have Marnie, but that's about it. Tate and Liza will also be rotating. And in a format where in terms of aggressive draw supporters, we've only really got Magnolia and Marnie, and no, I don't count Marnie as that aggressive, that's kind of my point, maybe this could be good. Maybe if we don't have that many options, it's worth playing this on the off chance you get 8. Because even if you get 4, it's not that bad compared to Marnie. And let's face it, after you've played 4 Magnolia, Marnie's the best you've got. So maybe. I think certainly the rotation is going to help this card. Because it's going to take away a lot of our supporter options. And then maybe this becomes good. As it stands at the moment, I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. I don't think it's a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's a good card. I think it's an incredibly specialised card, but I do think some decks are going to really take advantage of this. Also, don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. But this is the point in the video where I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear how good you think it is, and I want to hear the kind of decks you think it will see playing. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.